I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Neighbors say they've seen the now retired transit police officer Dorston Bartlett from time to time since he retired from the force last November. No one came to the door at his home in Lynn this evening. The 65-year-old is accused of viciously assaulting a homeless man on the platform of Ashmont T Station last summer. Bartlett, seen in this video, allegedly beat the 32-year-old man with his baton multiple times in July. That man called 911 for help, and according to 5 Investigates, it was Bartlett who returned to the T station and arrested his accused victim. What's more, authorities say he assaulted the man again during the booking process. 5 Investigates has learned that the assault was caught on surveillance, and it shows the homeless man did nothing to provoke the assault. 2 of Bartlett's supervisors, Sergeant David Finnerty and Kenneth Orcell, allegedly tried to cover up the attack, filing false police reports. They are both on paid leave. Bartlett is charged with assault and violating a person's civil rights. In a statement, Transit Police Chief Kenneth Green wrote, "Words cannot express the extreme disappointment I have in the officers who violated the victim and the public's trust in such an egregious manner." Neighbors.
A former MBTA transit sergeant is facing federal charges. David Finnerty is accused of covering up an unprovoked assault at a T-stop in 2018. Abby Nisgoda joining us live from federal court in Boston. Abby, talk about this. What makes this case so rare?
Well, JC, it's not every day that you see federal prosecutors go after a case that a local district attorney decided to drop. But that is exactly what's happening with this case, and the fate of a former transit police sergeant hangs in the balance.
The client, Mr. Finnerty, pled not guilty.
He's accused of covering up an unprovoked beating at a T-stop. But David Finnerty's lawyer says the former transit police sergeant has nothing to hide.
He's innocent. He did not participate in any cover-up.
Federal prosecutors disagree. They say when another transit officer beat up a homeless man at Ashmont Station in 2018, Finnerty falsified his report on it, leaving out key information to make the beating look justified when it wasn't.
In my opinion, he is being scapegoated.
It is an extraordinarily unusual situation.
NBC 10 Boston legal analyst Michael Coyne says what makes it unusual is that the misconduct charges were already dropped at the state level. Suffolk County District Attorney Kevin Hayden dismissed them last year, citing new evidence. Coyne says it's clear Hayden didn't think he had enough to get a conviction, but now the feds do.
And if I were the Suffolk County District Attorney's office, I would feel the need to explain my actions.
Hayden's office says they don't comment on pending federal cases, but Finnerty's attorney is already trying to use Hayden's decision as proof that his client is innocent.
He has already been cleared and exonerated on these exact same allegations in Superior Court. We have every confidence that we will have the same result here.
Now, after his arrest by the FBI this morning, today, Finnerty was released on conditions. He's due back in this courthouse behind me in October, and he does face up to 20 years behind bars if convicted. We're live outside federal court here in Boston. I'm Abby Nisgoda, NBC 10 Boston.
Crazy. It's crazy.
20 years in prison.
Yep.
Yeah. So hi, everyone. We have a lot to go over. Yes, welcome to the show. We have a lot to go over with the David Finnerty case. We're going to have Jen on in a little bit, and we have a lot of documentation to go through. So hang tight. Doesn't really matter, does it? All right, so let's bring on Jen with no further ado. Here we go. Hi, Jen.
Hi.
Hey there.
I'm just going to turn the volume up a little. How are you? How are you guys doing? We're good. Thanks for coming back.
Oh, you're welcome.
A lot of people have been like, when's Jen coming back on? When's Jen coming back on? So we're super psyched to have you. And everyone's really interested in, you know, the kind of like the meat and potatoes of the case. And I think tonight's a great night to go over all of that because you sent me so many documents and awesome stuff. So I hope it's okay that we go over that tonight. Yay. How's Dave doing? How are the kids?
Good.
Good.
Healthy fine now, finally.
Yeah, I know, right? It's so bad. How did you escape it?
I have no idea. Lots of washing hands.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh my God. Yeah, everyone's had it. It's horrible. Horrible.
Yeah, everybody's been super sick.
All right. So let me see. Where should we start? Why don't I'm going to bring up the timeline that you put together, which is awesome, by the way. And we could just quickly walk through that before we get to some of the court documents, because I just want everyone to have just, a kind of, like when these things kind of happen. I mean, things started in like 2018. So let me bring it up.
You did.
Let me see if I can do this.
If not, I have it in front of me too. So
okay, I'm just gonna share my screen, and I have like one little tiny laptop. Oh, thank you. Timeline.
There you go.
Oh, look at me. We can't see everybody though. Let me go back to. All right.
There you go.
Can you see that, everybody?
Yep.
Is it big enough? That's what you want.
Hey.
All right. So, all right. Let's start. July 27, 2018. That's when the incident actually happened. So, as it states, Sergeant Finnerty alerted the Deputy Chief of Administrative Services, who is the head of Internal Affairs and Professional Standards, of a possible excessive force of use and unlawful arrest as soon as almost 2 hours prior to the officer submitting and the patrol sergeant approving it. So, in July. So what happened between July and September when, Dave was finally notified he was being investigated?
Well, that would be like, I believe, the 45-day mark. They waited until knowing that the cameras erased after 45 days. So then there was no evidence of him talking to them. And that's what I believe it was, the 45-day, because he wasn't put out until 45 days. And the cameras self-erase, I guess, after 45 days. So the videos were not preserved.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, that sounds super, right? How convenient.
I know. It's ridiculous. Wow. So, okay. Yeah. So then Dave was notified he was of the investigation, and he was placed on paid administrative leave. So the next day, interviews were conducted with officers at HQ on the 27th, and those interviews weren't recorded.
Of course not.
Of course not, because that'd be evidence and proof of things. So we don't want anything recorded. Okay, so then in March of 19, Suffolk District Attorney and Transit Police Command Staff announced indictment of Sergeant Finnerty. He was placed on unpaid leave pursuant to the Perry Law. I'm not familiar with the Perry Law. Are you?
I've heard a lot about it, and I can Google it really quickly to give a good.
Thank you.
Well, but let's see. No. So the Perry Law is a litigation that specializes. That's definitely not what it is. I think that's a law firm, but the Perry Law has to do with police, and I think like some departments go by it and some don't.
That's interesting.
But yeah, let me send him a message.
No, it's okay. We don't have to.
He's at work.
Oh, good.
What is it called?
Yes.
The Perry Law?
The Perry
Law. Yeah, and and that was the reason why we did win our back pay hearing case, because he was put out pursuant to the Perry law, and which says that if you were found of now it's refreshing my memory, if you are found of no wrongdoing and you were put out on leave, then you are entitled to your back pay.
Okay, so it's for protection, basically.
Right.
Okay.
But I'll give you a better synopsis after he replies back.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's fine. No, that's good.
I'm almost positive that that's what it is. And that was a reason why we were able to, we're entitled to the back pay, that now they're appealing that decision.
Wow. So that's all still up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
So, you still haven't received anything, right?
No.
See, yeah, that's.
Yep.
All right, so this brings us to May of 22. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So May of 22, the booking officer. Who was the booking officer on that day?
I forget his name.
It wasn't anyone, in.
It was nobody that was charged.
Okay.
Or nope.
All right. The day the incident was off duty and arrested for OUI after rear-ending a police cruiser.
Mm-hmm.
This officer's charges were dismissed through the Veterans Court, and he faced no discipline at the MBTA. It was after his arrest this arrest when his story of 7/27/18. Yeah. So how is that related to Dave?
Well, he gave one statement in the original, I think it was the hearing for work, where they had put him onto unpaid leave, and then at the grand jury he put out a different statement. So his story has changed since the start.
So did Dave have anything to do with that officer being charged, or like what?
No, that officer has never been charged, and that seems to happen a lot, where MBTA officers will drive drunk, or other officers, and nothing happens to them. And you kind of take care of your own. If you're in the in crowd.
Yeah, exactly. If you're in the in crowd,
yep.
That's key.
Yeah.
But there was the booking officer that was on duty the night of the incident has since changed his original story to go along, I think, with what the command staff is saying happened, even though that's not what really did happen.
Wow.
Yes.
So basically, you want to be in with the in crowd, then you got to stick to the story that we're telling you to say.
Yeah.
So
right.
That's oh my God.
To my knowledge, that's what. I mean,
right.
So it's like a movie. Like, we really like it. So it's so much to remember.
Wow. Okay. Oops. What am I doing? Nope. Oh, I'm in Word. Sorry. I'm like.
It's all right.
I'm behind the scenes. I just wanted to scroll up, and I only have one screen.
So, and then the Perry law states that state workers can be put on unpaid suspension if they are indicted for crimes committed on the job. If you're found not guilty, your suspension is lifted and you're due all back pay, benefits, and other compensation. Under the Perry law, anything outside of guilty plea or guilty verdict is considered not guilty.
Wow.
Oh, really?
All right, that makes sense. All right, so let's bring us to October 5th, 2022. So that's when this new evidence showed up.
Suddenly appears.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's so sketchy.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems to me, my understanding of it was they did a sweep of Dave's computer initially.
Correct.
And they found
an unsaved Word document.
Yeah, an unsaved Word document. Because Dave was acting. We can get into it in a little more detail.
He was acting as the officer in charge. It was a lieutenant's job, but the lieutenant had called in, so they put a sergeant onto the desk job that night, untrained.
Awesome. So crazy.
Mhm.
All right. All right. So then they found an open Word document. So they kind of just followed what Dave was doing, basically like a keystroke analysis or whatever. And that was that. And they found that Dave had rewritten the report.
Well, they thought that he had.
They thought that he had.
Yeah,
Right.
so that was the premise, with that he had falsified the police report to cover up for Bartlett, the officer, which was not the case. And this is what happened on October 5th. The original police report suddenly appears on the eve before trial, showing that Dave, in fact, did not change the report and anything in it that would have made him look like he was covering it up.
Right. So that was discovered, what, a day and a half before?
Yeah, I think it was probably like about a day and a half, maybe like a day, like the day before.
Yeah. That's
the original trial.
Suddenly
And then they
it's
needed, they asked for a short continuance just to go over the new evidence that shows that Dave didn't do what they said that he did.
Okay. So that was great. And, everything, the charges were dropped and, everyone can go on with their lives. And
so we thought.
Yeah. So then, where are we? So, oh yeah, I even have, you sent me all that documentation of all, all the, what is it? A no pass?
No pros.
Oh, that's how you say that?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was all signed off on. It was, we have new evidence. Dave is cleared of all this. Hi, kitty. And then you guys got in that, the whole thing with his back pay.
Right. Well, and then he was placed on, was supposed to be placed back onto paid leave after the null pros that proved that he didn't do what they said he did. And it took them a month to actually get him on the books. So we were supposed to be starting to get his pay on October 17th, but it actually didn't happen until the end of November.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tracy sent me the documentation earlier today, and I tried to get through some of it.
There's a lot.
It really is. Like the more even like the before we started the show tonight, she played a couple of the news clipping for, I don't know what channels they were, but even just seeing that and just I mean, I don't want to get off track, but it's really, really mind blowing to see to learn more about this case and what's actually happened. This is just, it's so crazy. And looking at the name on here too, doesn't this one name look super familiar?
Oh, Judge Crop. Yeah. Yeah, we're familiar.
Yep.
Yeah. There's a lot of familiar names.
Yeah. And even when he was originally indicted, they never even notified him in the original case. My mom had actually seen it on the news and called me on my way home from work and said that Dave had just been indicted. They never, so then I had to call Dave. He was at home, with the girls, and tell him. So they didn't even give us the common courtesy to let us know. The news aired it, and that's how we found out.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yep.
I can't even.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on. Where are we? Where were we? All right, so he was supposed to be back on paid
leave.
Leave. However, the transit police command staff did not restore his pay until the end of November and refused to pay his back pay and benefits pursuant to the same Perry law statute.
Correct.
And
that's where our back pay hearing comes in. They owe him for 44 months of back pay.
And in between that, they postponed so you just said that. Okay. So let me scroll. Hold on. Word. Where are we? 2-5. Additional 30 days for the grand jury. Okay, so on the 17th, the federal grand jury started.
Yep.
Immediately after the federal grand jury did not indict against here's another story. 2 other transit police officers that Rollins and the transit police command staff accused of various road rage charges.
Correct.
Those accusations were later proved false through a post investigation in which was found the transit police did not conduct an actual investigation of that incident.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Whoa.
Well, whatever.
Oh my God.
Whatever is good for you.
Yeah, nothing to see here.
Disciplinary hearing officer released his report in which he declared with no authority after the Suffolk DA dismissed the criminal charges that Sergeant Finnerty did violate Massachusetts general laws and found there were no grounds for termination. This is the next day. This is like in a week. Geez, Sergeant Finnerty was terminated from the MBTA Transit Police. 2 days later, a civil lawsuit against the MBTA was filed for back pay, benefits, other compensation. Oh, yes. A U.S. attorney, Rachel Rollins, resigned in disgrace after lying under oath, violation of the Health Act, and for her role in the election interference and further defamation in an attempt to destroy his credibility prior to inauguration of Suffolk County DA Kevin Hayden in relation to the transit police cases he dismissed and refused to prosecute.
Correct. And he's the one that said that Dave was cleared of all charges.
Yep.
So,
yeah. So that works out.
Oh my goodness.
So we're into July now. Sergeant Finnerty notified by U.S. Attorney's Office he was the target of a federal grand jury. Thank you. Okay. And then we go to August 31st, where you told us, you know.
Yeah, when the FBI SWAT
story
surrounded our house. That's all right. And they failed to wear body cameras, and by law, I believe that they are required to wear them. So they're in violation of that. They didn't let me back inside. I said, "Oh, he'll be right out." As my oldest daughter at the time, who was 8, was looking out the window and saw it all.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
We don't even care. We don't even care.
No.
Okay, so same day. It was the same day he was arraigned that morning?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, because it was early in the morning.
It was 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Yep.
On
On the first day of kindergarten.
Oh my God. So he's back in court for the same charges that he was exonerated for.
Correct.
At the state level. It was also found that day the officer that struck the victim with the baton and the sergeant, his name is Dorston Bartlett.
Dorston Bartlett.
I'd like to get that out there. With the baton and the sergeant that approved the false report were given complete immunity for their crimes to testify against Sergeant Finnerty.
Oh,
right?
wow.
Like, talk about scapegoat here.
Wow.
The sergeant with immunity did not testify at the federal grand jury as he did not go along with the framing of Sergeant Finnerty. The officer testified in the grand jury, but also exonerated Sergeant Finnerty from any wrongdoing.
Correct. But here we are, still here.
Yep. Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. And then the report that they're like, one of his charges is that still falsifying a police report, but it's actually not a police report at all. It's an overnight booking summary, kind of like a cliff notes of the night. So instead of the command staff, I think there's like 3 or 4 that can actually see this overnight booking report. Instead of them going through all of the police reports for that night, it's just like a summary. And that's what they're saying is a police report, although it's prior to this has never been considered a police report. And even after this has not been considered a police report. Just in Dave's case, it's being considered a police report.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So bad. Okay. So, civil lawsuit, so they're appealing that. It's going on until November. And now Dave's date has been changed from March 10th to May 19th. And you guys just found that out, right?
Yeah, which just happens to be, as my husband says, ironically, is the 2-year
Right.
anniversary of Rachel Rollins' resignation from the U.S. Attorney position. So kind of funny that it falls on that day.
I know, that is funny. Very ironic. Yeah, so we'll do our best to get everybody out there on that date. I sent you that picture of the
Yeah,
people
that
who
was
were
so
out there.
funny to like
Isn't that great?
her name on a sign.
Yeah, they're very
Yep.
interested in the case. They're
That's
very
great.
interested in corruption all over. So
Mm.
yeah, they definitely have our back. So that's cool. Okay, let's see. Where are we now? So there's the summons. So Dave has been charged with 2 counts of false report by a public employee and 1 count of accessory after the fact. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the what is it? It's the decision of
no pros.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let me bring that up. Be patient with me. I suck at this.
No, you're fine. I get it. I was a teacher during COVID, remote learn to try to pull share your screen. And,
Get it.
God bless you. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Where is it? Is that it? Yeah, that's it. I think that's it. Okay. That's it, right? This one, all right, keep in mind that this is the Commonwealth's document. So this is their decision based on Dave's motion to dismiss, right?
I believe so. I can pull that up too so I can see it a bit bigger.
All right. So this, I wanted to go through this, in detail because this is what happened. This is what the Commonwealth is saying what happened. And then we're going to move on to the other discovery evidence and, moving forward. Okay. So in the early morning of July 27, 2018, Anthony Watson, a Black 31-year-old homeless man, remained sleeping on the last Massachusetts Bay Trans MBTA subway train as it arrived at Ashmont T Station. The train operator and chief inspector banged their key pulls, so they tried to wake him up. So they called the police for assistance when they couldn't get a response out of him. So that's when Dorston Bartlett, a 35-year-old veteran of the department, responded to the scene. Eventually, Watson woke up and walked off the train after Bartlett entered the train and communicated with him. Once Watson was off the train, they continued to interact with each other. Watson wouldn't leave, and they forced him out, basically. Trying to get his bearings after being woken up was, poor guy. Cut him some slack. So everything was captured by video surveillance. Bartlett's body language indicated that he did not feel threatened by Watson. Bartlett steered Watson in the direction of the exit. Watson walked towards the exit, but began verbally arguing. Say that 10 times fast. Verbally arguing with Bartlett. Bartlett then deployed his baton, grabbed Watson by his upper right arm, and pushed him towards the escalator. I just lost my place. There it is. Watson pulled away from Bartlett, but did not act in a physically aggressive manner towards Bartlett. Watson subsequently placed his backpack down on the ground and leaned against the column of the platform. Bartlett then struck Watson 3 times in his right leg with his baton, which hurts a lot. Yeah. Watson collapsed on the ground, but eventually stood up with the help from Bartlett and Gogan and headed towards the escalator. Video surveillance shows there was no intent to arrest or restrain Watson. We rode the escalator up towards the exit. He pushed Watson out of the station and did not attempt to arrest him. Watson told the grand jury after he got thrown out of the station, he was completely upset and started talking shit. He told Bartlett, "Fuck you, you're a piece of shit. You don't have to hit me with that. You a bitch." Watson fell to the ground, dropped his backpack, and ran away. So he left his backpack behind. And he didn't want to carry who had just assaulted him. So Watson then alerted a bystander who called 911. So who responds to the scene other than Bartlett? So Bartlett placed him under arrest, took him to headquarters for booking, and assaulted him even more. So he grabbed him by the chin or the neck area while he was handcuffed Excuse me, I'm gonna dry mouth. So, this guy calls for help and he gets the same, the same guy.
Right.
And he assaults him even more. Anyway, so that being said, Bartlett went to the report writing room to start writing his arrest report. Eventually, Bartlett went to the monitor room and asked Clooney to pull video of the Ashmont incident. He pulled it up. They watched the video and notified Sergeant Finnerty that there had been use of force and told him that he should watch the video. Clooney notified Finnerty because when there is use of force, officers are supposed to notify the duty supervisor, and that was Dave's role
That was
that night.
Dave, right? Who, because of the lieutenant had called in, so Dave was placed into that position for the night as a sergeant.
Untrained. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Clooney also believed it was not good use of force, so everyone was in agreement. He went a little bit overboard. So after he notified everybody, they went to another monitor room where the video of the Ashmont incident. So they watched it. They all watched it together, and they all had the same reaction, like that was
Not appropriate.
Not appropriate. After watching the video, Bartlett wrote a draft arrest report, and Clooney read it. The report was very short, no more than 6 sentences, which is very odd for a report. And
it ended up finding out later that it was more than 6 sentences.
Right. So this is what they found, right?
Correct.
Okay. So at the time.
Right.
And summarize precisely what they saw in the video. Basically, Bartlett escorting him to the platform and striking him with the baton. Bartlett's report did not explain why he used his baton to strike Watson. So this is where it gets weird. Bartlett showed Orcel his short initial arrest report, and Orcel told Bartlett that his report was not good. Bartlett told Orcel, it's all set. Don't worry about it. Finnerty's going to write it for me. He'll take care of it. So Finnerty, the officer in charge, reviewed Bartlett's initial report. Finnerty created a Word document and now keep in mind, this is the Commonwealth side, and this is, they're going with what they initially found on Dave's computer. Finnerty created a Word document on his computer and created a new version of the incident and arrest. FBI forensic analysis of the officer in charge computer indicated that the computer was used to access the MBTA Transit Police use of force policy. The computer was also used to print, but not save a Word document. The FBI's forensic analysis retrieved an autosaved Word document that contained a description of the events of the Ashmont incident that was vastly different than Bartlett's initial arrest report. So that's because they were looking at the wrong report.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Let's see. While sitting at the computer, Finnerty told Orcel something like, there's the report. I wrote it. It'll pass. It's all set. The words on Finnerty's computer screen somehow ended up in Bartlett's final submitted arrest report about the Ashmont incident. In addition, Finnerty confirmed with Bartlett that he was okay with the arrest report Finnerty had written and was inconsistent with the video. Ultimately, Orcel approved Bartlett's final arrest report, and through Orcel knew that Finnerty helped Bartlett write a false report to cover up and justify Bartlett's improper and excessive use of force against Watson. Okay. Email was continued. Bartlett's arrest. Okay, so this is confirm the same false statement in Finnerty's Word document and in Bartlett's arrest report quoted below. So is this what Dave wrote, or what is this we're looking at right here? Sean Reynolds.
And then just to go back to when the bystander called 911 for Watson, Boston police had actually arrived to the scene and gave him back to Bartlett. So Bartlett had, heard it on the radio. And so we went, I was looking for him. So originally Bartlett wasn't there. It was Boston PD. And then Boston PD gave Watson back to Bartlett.
Wow.
Wow.
Talk about bad decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that Clooney only told Dave that something was going on in the booking room, but didn't tell him that there was a use of force incident in booking. And that came out in the disciplinary hearing. Dave didn't even know that had happened until it came out in the disciplinary hearing.
Wow. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Yeah, I just zoomed in so I could see.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I can zoom it in and
okay.
see. Yeah. So, and Dave is the one that told command staff about, like, as soon as they came in the morning, about this, and they were actually in. Hold on. Get out. Sorry, the girls. The dog ate something. That's all.
Oh, no.
That's right. Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah. So he's quite he's a 86-pound-year-old puppy, 1-year-old puppy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh
but yes. So they. So Dave told them right as soon as they came in the morning, about what had happened. And this is what Reynolds is saying to try to add to the story that Dave's eyes got bigger. But Dave, right from the start, knew that it was a bad use of force.
Yeah. Okay. So where are we? A few minutes later, I pulled up the arrest report. Did not see an issue with the report itself. So Reynolds was cool with it too. Whatever Reynolds' first thought was, this is not Officer Bartlett's report, and this is
right. So that was all like made up. That never happened.
Yeah.
But they're trying to make their story look good. So
yeah, and even like this crap about he's familiar with his writing style. I mean, yeah, I get you can recognize some people's handwriting, but when I read that, I was like, what does that have to, that's what you went with? That's your concrete evidence?
Yeah, right. And it would be like the type that I think they're talking about, the like the language being used, of like the wording type of, because it's on all typed. But once they were able to, like, the day before, the eve of the trial, find the original police report, it showed that Dave didn't do any of what is in this.
And this is actually what was in it, right?
Right.
Okay. So Officer Bartlett,
and there was never any testimony to back any of this up.
Really?
Mm.
Okay, so this is just I went through all this. Okay.
Dave was nothing but nice to Watson while he was showed him. He was worried that he wasn't going to have the evidence, and Dave told him what he had to do to get the discovery, and offered to call an ambulance for him, and was nothing but nice and respectful. And Dave was the only one in the civil lawsuit that Watson had against the T that did not have to pay. Dave was cleared in that case as well.
Wow.
The T had to pay, and the other two officers also had to pay.
That says a mouthful right there for crying out loud.
Yeah, that's bad.
So we're 3 for 4 at this point.
Right.
Now, and we're going back for the back pay appeal, but we've won all 3, which just shows that he's done nothing wrong. And they have created such trauma with our family. Having the FBI at our house at 6 a.m. We had, my girls had just woken up. Actually, they were sleeping and heard all of the noise. And my husband told them to stay in the room. And then my 8-year-old at the time looked out the window and saw, and obviously they were crying, and the feds weren't letting me back inside to be able to be with them. And he couldn't be with them. And to this day, if a car drives slowly by our house, my 8-year-old, she's now 9, gets nervous. She's afraid of police. There's only 2 that we knew before this that she's comfortable with. Any sirens, lights makes her nervous. So it's done a lot. we asked for them to allow a self-surrender so it didn't happen in front of our children. And the prosecutor said, no, they arrest everybody. But this prosecutor has also been found to be lying and presenting information in other cases that wasn't true, falsifying information. That was the article that I had posted, Tracy, a while back.
Yeah. It's like the trauma that they're putting on children and
she already
families.
had anxiety, and this just compounds it.
And they're teaching children that you can't trust police officers.
Right.
We said it before. I mean, when we were growing up, that was the first thing you were taught. You were a kid, you know, if you get no problem, you find a police officer. You know, that's the kids nowadays don't have that same mindset anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and it's, you know, not everyone's bad out there.
No.
Right. There are good ones. My husband was one of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. There are a lot of great cops.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of bad ones.
There are.
Oh.
So let me ask this: do your kids understand what's truly going on? Like,
no, they know that some people lied about him and said things that weren't true, and that is the reason why we're in the situation that we're in. My youngest is a fighter. I always say you could be nice to her because she's gonna be the one taking care of you someday. She puts up with nothing. So she actually though had said like she wants to go to court. She knows that we have court coming up. And said, will the bad guys be there? And I said yes. And she's like, I want to go. And I'm telling them my dad did nothing wrong, that they should be the ones that should be punished. And so she, you know, is 7 now. And my 9-year-old just doesn't want to talk about it because every time we talk about it, she gets scared because of what happened.
Right.
I mean, I get nervous too, like cars, like obviously they were casing our neighborhood, our street. They were parked the day before my husband was arrested. They were down the end of our street. Unbeknownst to us at that time, until it was on our neighborhood page, that there was a strange car in the neighborhood. And Dave said it was probably the feds. And sure enough, that car was out front the day he was arrested. But to like do that in, you know, the first day of kindergarten from our youngest, knowing that we've asked for self-surrender, he was going to turn, you know, was offering to meet somewhere, but they just, T likes the news and making big scenes and
no, they want that perp walk. Yeah, it's dramatic, you know.
And I believe our town cops, they had to be there. They had escorted them, but had told the feds to let me back in the house, and the feds ignored them. And
wow,
that's just sickening to me. It truly is. You know, I mean, you get the 2 little kids alone in the house.
Those kids will never forget that.
You know, with all this shit going on, and like, oh, by the way, you know, I just want my mom. You know, like, no, you can't.
Right.
Jesus.
So, okay, so I skipped down a little bit just to point out the motions like that, the motions to dismiss that Dave, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I'll just read. The indictment so this is what Dave is claiming. The indictment for accessory after the fact must fail fail because there's no evidence of the required intent. Because Finnerty warned his supervisor of the truth of the incident before Bartlett filed his report, he knew that any assistance he provided did not help Bartlett evade punishment. To the contrary, the Commonwealth's witness acknowledged to the grand jury that Finnerty's actions alerting his supervisor to the video evidence showing Bartlett's guilt and contrasting it with the probably false report Bartlett filed were instrumental in the department's ultimate decision to charge Bartlett with the underlying offense. This court disagrees. Pertinent to this law, blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
Yep. And then the feds did like a red line on the report, that showed all the changes that Sergeant Finnerty, you know, has been made when comparing it to Bartlett's original report, and it showed that his changes were just, you know, professional, normal changes that any supervisor would would do.
Mhm.
So that was the report.
Yeah,
that
you don't want to
suddenly
submit
appeared.
something with your name on it that, you
Right.
want it. I do that with my staff, if
I
someone-
do that all the time
Yeah,
too.
don't send it to the
with my
boss.
students. or
Send it to me first and I'll review it and I'll
Yep.
send it. Yeah.
And then the FBI didn't even conduct the investigation. The U.S. Attorney's Office just used what the transit police had already told them that had happened, even though it was debunked by the Suffolk County DA. So the feds didn't even investigate it. They were just going on what the corrupt transit police had said what had happened.
So viewing all the evidence presented at the grand jury in the light most favorable to the Commonwealth, one can view Finnerty's statements to Reynolds after he had assisted Bartlett in writing the false report through the Word documents. Remember, the Word document as not particularly significant to the analysis. Once Finnerty aided Bartlett in writing the false report, he had already committed the crime of accessory after the fact. So that's their that's how they see it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. And then the command staff actually had Watson in jail longer investigating everything after Dave told them than he was in jail when Dave was on duty. So if anything, they're in the wrong for keeping somebody in jail for hours longer than he needed to be.
Wow. Next, regarding the 2 indictments for filing a false report should be dismissed. This is, according to Dave, without evidence of what Bartlett told Finnerty regarding the incident, there was no evidence Finnerty knew the reports that were filed were materially false. So they go through the law. Again, viewing the evidence presented to the grand jury in the light most favorable of Commonwealth, the 2 indictments for filing a false report need not be dismissed. They watched the video of the Ashmont incident in the monitor room shortly after Watson was booked. They watched Bartlett strike Watson with his baton and eject Watson from the station. Finnerty had a shocked look on his face. So they're basically saying they knew that it was excessive.
Mm.
The evidence presented to the grand jury suggests that Finnerty wrote Bartlett's report, and the report does not match the video that memorializes the July 27, 2018 Ashmont incident. Finnerty's request to dismiss the 2 indictments for filing a false report is denied. So, where does that bring us now? Oh my goodness. So, let's bring up the notice of discovery. That was, what was the date on that one? October 14th, I believe. Wait, let me figure out what I'm doing here.
You're getting good at this now. Look at you.
I don't know that.
Gotta have all your tabs open and
Yeah, it's a
so
nightmare. You
right,
should
right,
see
yeah.
what we're looking at right now. It's horrible. I don't see it. Decision timeline. Oh, I think I have to. Oh, there it is. Here it is. Notice of discovery. Let me share this one. We really could use some equipment. Some new equipment.
Yeah.
Is that it right there? Yeah. Okay. I got it. Everybody,
Look at
relax.
that.
I got
Look
it.
at that.
Okay. So this is the notice of discovery dated October 14th, 2022. 14th, 2022. Provided the following discovery to the defendant. The contents of the narrative portion of an incident report authored by MBTA police officer Dorston Bartlett using the Larimore report writing system as it existed on or about 4:17 a.m. on July 27, 2018. So, it's the software.
mm-hmm.
It's
Right,
the software. We didn't know, we didn't see. Again, maybe that the person who was in charge of getting all that information needs to be fired.
Right. Right.
You're not qualified to do your job.
No.
You didn't find what you were supposed to find.
Right.
But they were just looking for one thing,
Right.
So they found it and they moved
Well, yeah,
on.
they just wanted, what would support their story.
Mm-hmm. Okay, prior to October 5th, this evidence was unavailable to the Commonwealth or any member of the prosecution team. Prior to October 5th, the lead investigator in this matter was unable to access this evidence due to an issue with the Larimore system and was unaware of such evidence existed. On October 4th, after learning that it may be possible to obtain this evidence, the lead investigator requested MBTA Transit Police Director of IT contact Larimore to address the issue. After Larimore addressed the issue, the lead investigator was able to obtain the evidence. Isn't that easy?
Yeah.
It's
How easy is
amazing.
that? Meanwhile, this poor family is going through all this bullshit, you know?
My baby was 8 months old when this all
Oh.
started. She just turned 7.
Oh my God, Jen.
Yep.
I can't even imagine. Undersigned counsel immediately notified counsel of the defendant of this and immediately provided the evidence to counsel for the defendant. So let me bring up the actual, let me switch again, hold on. Oops, I'm bringing up Microsoft Teams, so everybody.
And if it wasn't for Dave telling the command staff when they came in, they never would have even known that this happened. So he did the right thing and said, like, this isn't right. And here we're fighting for our life.
Yeah, he's the only one that did the right thing.
And expensive lawyers, good lawyers are expensive. We've had to take out his retirement to help pay, which didn't cover everything. So after all this is said and done, like, his retirement is already gone.
Wow.
Yep.
And how long has he'd been working for them?
It was 10 years, I believe, when this, maybe even longer.
Okay.
At least 10 years, maybe even longer, 12, when this happened.
Without incident, stellar record, the whole 9 yards, and then oh, by the way, this is going to happen.
Yeah. So yeah. So when the original case started, just a comment. When the original case started back in 2018, my daughter was 8 months old, but when they arrested him, she was 7 or 6 actually at the time. No, actually, she was 5, and she didn't look out the window. So she, didn't see everything that my other daughter did.
God.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
So this is how do you say it?
The no pros.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
So based on the evaluation and new evidence received by the Commonwealth is unable to prove these charges beyond a reasonable doubt. Can't do it. Commonwealth learned of new exculpatory evidence, which fundamentally changed its understanding of the case and against the defendant. Prior to the discovery of this evidence, the Commonwealth firmly believed the defendant was the author of numerous false statements made in a police report, which appeared to justify a police officer's misuse of force. This new evidence establishes that, although the defendant did revise some portions of the report, and like you said, grammatical or whatever,
right,
the defendant was not the source of the false and misleading statements that are at issue in this case. So as this new evidence disclosure,
and he was a 16-year veteran of the department at the time of this.
Wow. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As described, the lead investigator in this case obtained an initial draft of the report as it existed prior to the defendant's revisions of the report. So that's the exculpatory evidence. While this new evidence established the defendant did make some revisions. Did I read this? No. Were not substantial that the Commonwealth had previously believed. In particular, the respect to the officer's description of use of force, the defendant's revisions were either 1, not probably false, or 2, not false in a manner known by the defendant to be untrue, or 3, not false in a material matter, or 4, irrelevant to the charged criminal conduct. So basically the changes he did had nothing to do with the story and what happened.
Correct.
That wasn't his part of the report that he did. Ability to prove the defendant acted with criminal intent. And in light of previously disclosed evidence related to the defendant's intent, the Commonwealth cannot prove beyond a reasonable doubt the defendant acted with the intent intent necessary to sustain these charges. Accordingly, the Commonwealth files this.
Say it, say
I
it.
can't. I'll just mess it up. So the
No
charges are
promise.
dropped. Yeah, thank you. So that was that. And then, so when was this? This was in October. Let me stop sharing this and bring it up.
Sorry, can you hear my dog barking?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm muting so that
No, it's fine. We have our dog's always
I-
barking.
yeah.
You know, our cat. It's
We got
believe
something
me.
going
Yeah,
on.
everyone understands.
Yeah.
We have a household around here, so don't worry about it. Okay, now let me bring this up.
and then I just see a comment in the chat. I tried to join the chat, but I said I have to connect that the police union abandoned him because there was a comment about where was the police union? Are they not supporting him because he told them, and they abandoned him.
Oh my God.
So they should be there to back him, and
Yeah.
so you definitely find out who your friends are through all
Sure.
this.
Right. Oh yeah.
It's definitely less than you thought you had.
Yep. Wow.
And people that you worked with for years and years and years, and all of a sudden just turn their backs on you. It's crazy.
People like that were at our wedding, and
Oh my God.
you never expect that.
Wow. Wow. I'm like trying to keep my comments too. All right. So this is the new indictment, the federal indictment. So basically they're saying the same exact thing. And apparently they have, is it new evidence or is it evidence that's already been presented?
Evidence that's been presented.
Really?
So it's basically like I said, I don't understand why it's not considered double jeopardy.
Right.
But it's because it's in a different level of court. The first one was state, and this is federal.
Wow. So this indictment goes over what happened, the grand jury charges, and this is this is what they're saying. David Finnerty knowingly concealed, covered up, falsified, and made a false entry in a record and document with the intent to impede, obstruct, and influence the investigation and proper administration of a matter within the jurisdiction of a department or agency of the United States, and in relation to and contemplation of such matter, to wit, Finnerty falsified an arrest report regarding the incident involving Officer Dawson Bartlett.
Yeah, Dorson Bartlett.
Yeah.
And that's the what they're which isn't even the police report at this point. That's the overnight summary, the cliff notes of the night.
Oh, okay.
Overnight briefing.
And that's what they
that's what they're
that's what they have.
Only in this case. It would not before and not after, but
wow.
Yep.
Here's count 2, same thing.
And the charges carry a 20-year
we said
sentence.
That 20 years.
Yep. So
sentence.
I mean, all the evidence proves that he didn't do it, but our life is going to be in the hands of a jury. So if they find that he did it, then my daughter, oldest, who is 8, will be 30. Well, 9. She'll be 10 in May. Will be 30 when he gets out. And I have a stepdaughter who's 19. She'll be 40. She's he couldn't even bring her to college. She goes to college in England and wasn't allowed to bring her to school because he can't leave the country.
Right.
Yep. And it's 2 counts. One is Bart's report, and the second is the overnight summary.
I'm blown away by the whole thing. It's crazy.
And even his old partner abandoned him. And I've reached out to him, sending a message just like maybe he would feel bad and write back. And of course I knew he wouldn't, but I'm just like, I want people to know what this has done to our family. And
that's the thing. I mean, and that's what we're fighting. That's what's being brought to light, like Karen Reed thing, all the cases that we're following. It's just people in power, whether it's for political reasons or just people being assholes, just, they don't look at people that they're supposed to serve as people.
Right.
They're just numbers or pawns or scapegoats. And it doesn't matter. These people could go to prison for 20 years and they just wouldn't even care.
Yep.
Right. And he was the whistleblower in the situation, and then he's the one that gets into trouble.
Yeah.
And that it's believed that in the grand jury that Bartlett verified to the grand jury that it was his report and that Dave did nothing wrong.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, I have another video I wanted to show too, regarding Bartlett. It's crazy because how Dave and he are living their lives right now are just very opposite. So let me find it. Hold on. All right, here we go.
A transit police officer accused of beating a homeless man is collecting a pension and will keep pocketing that money if he's convicted or not. Kathy Curran has been digging into this tonight. She's right here, right now. Kath?
And Ed, we first told you about the case involving Officer Dorston Bartlett and 2 transit police supervisors a few weeks ago. Now we've learned Bartlett is already collecting a pension worth tens of thousands of dollars a year, and he'll keep getting those checks even if he's convicted. Transit police officer Dorston Bartlett is accused of beating a homeless man multiple times with his baton inside the Ashmont T station last summer. Prosecutors say it was an unprovoked assault by a man in uniform on a vulnerable victim. According to records obtained by 5 Investigates, months later, while the case was under investigation, Bartlett filed this application for retirement and began collecting his $50,000 a year pension. Now we've learned even if he's convicted of the crime, he'll continue to pocket every dime. Government watchdogs say it's a loophole that should be closed.
It's outrageous that this person, if he's convicted, can just completely sidestep the essential protection that the public has against public abuse.
We've discovered because the MBTA Police Association retirement plan is a private pension fund, state laws don't apply. So any retiree who once wore the uniform of the transit police can still collect their pension even if convicted of a job-related crime. But if you're a state retiree, like the troopers and supervisors convicted in the overtime scandal, state law does apply, and those pensions are on the line.
If you're a state trooper or any state employee, if you break the law in the course of your job, you're going to lose your pension. That is a real penalty, and it should be applied to the MBTA transit police.
We have learned this issue is expected to come up during the next round of contract talks. The T contributed about $2.5 million to the police retirement plan during the last fiscal year, and Bartlett's lawyer said his client worked 35 years without any disciplinary issues. Kathy Curran, 5 Investigates.
And he also gets Social Security as well.
Oh my God.
On top of that.
Right. And you were saying last time, you guys went and did like a big food shop, like for the first time in a while.
Yeah.
Your kids making note, like, oh my God, we have food.
There's food in the house. Did a big food shopping.
Yeah.
We try to keep things as normal as possible for them. Because it's not their fault that we're in this situation. And my mom helps out immensely. But, it's hard. So like everyone's all like, yeah, I know, like, we get paid every 2 weeks. To like, have the fridge full of food and good snacks.
Well,
and then meanwhile, this guy's just like getting money hand over fist, and he's.
And the other sergeant involved as well. He's retired from the military as well. So he'll get a pension from the military. And he's the one that should have been the one to be the sergeant to take care of the report. But he said that he was going back out on the street and left Dave to do it.
Wow. It's just everything about it is just screams irresponsible and,
That's the thing, though. I mean, they all these institutions, they preach, protocol, and this is our, to the T, dot the I's, cross the T's. Everything's going to be done a specific way. And everything I've seen over the past 3 years, because we're so involved in this, I don't see any of that. It's such a friggin' disaster. What these people do and what they continue to get away with is absolutely mind blowing. I mean, again, we back the blue 100%. Absolutely. There's bad cops out there, and it shows. And there's bad, not even just cops, but obviously politicians and freaking everything.
All working together.
They all got their hand in each other's pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So it's terrible. I really, truly, like, the more I learn about this story, Jen, it really pisses me off.
Yeah, and it's nice to get our story out there. We've been, trying, and the good thing about the Karen Reed case is it's showing that the corruption exists more than people thought that it did.
Right.
Exactly. Yep. Well, we're gonna support you. What was it? May? What's the date?
May 19th.
May 19th. I will definitely. Everyone's asking, so I'll remind everybody when the date gets closer, and we definitely want to have you back before then.
Yes.
And if anything else comes up, send it my way. I want to review it.
Okay.
But is there what can we do for you? I have your Venmo going.
Give my Venmo and just share our Give, Send, Go. I saw a comment earlier too, with like, when this is all over, can we fight for our back pay? And we're in the process of fighting for the back pay still. Like I said earlier, we won that. And then the day after Thanksgiving, we found out that we won. So we thought like, oh, kind of a breath of air, like we can relax and not be living paycheck to paycheck. And then right before Christmas, they said they have the intent to appeal. And so now we're in the appeal process right now for the back pay.
Wow.
And we're in February. Yeah.
Wow.
And then, there's always like timelines. They have 30 days to do this, 45. So like, we're probably looking at a couple of months before we know any thing further with that.
Yep. The legal system is very slow on purpose.
Yeah.
Yes.
On purpose.
So maybe I missed this. So what was the reason for moving the date to May?
I think there were other cases that were still ongoing with lawyers involved.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Okay. Just conflict type of thing.
Right.
Okay.
That stinks.
Yeah. So
I'd rather get it done sooner, but maybe more things will come out with the more we wait, and we can be even more prepared and have more things to throw at them to prove his innocence.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre. I mean, it was literally, the state was like, yeah, no, you're good, not guilty, fine.
Right.
And here we are, how the hell is this? How does this happen?
And why?
Why this is like, how are we in this position? Like, everything proves that he didn't do it, but here we are. But Rachel Rollins, is involved with and it's all like, it's the political. He's like a political prisoner. I feel like they're trying to cover up everybody else's mistakes. So hopefully, in the end, they get their karma.
Mm-hmm.
Karma is slow, but it does come.
Is it?
It's very slow, but it will come.
Mm.
It does pay to be a good person. It pays to do the right thing. I hate to see you guys go through this, but we'll be there. We'll be there to we'll be adding Dave to our signs, like you saw.
Thanks. Yeah, that was like, oh my gosh, like, it was just weird to see our.
I know.
But we appreciate it, like, to get our name out there. And my 9-year-old, I would say that she's embarrassed, but like she doesn't want us talking about it because like I think she's worried. And she's like, it's no one's business what's happening. I'm like, no, but it's our job to educate people and like let people know what's happening, that good people are being punished for things that they didn't do.
Right. And it's not just one person, it's a lot of people. This is going on everywhere. Just don't know about it. So,
well, our eyes are all open now, and it's little by little more people open their eyes, but sitting on your hands and not doing anything about it is not making any change. So, everybody's going to keep talking about it and keep pushing forward. And that's, what we've learned over the past year.
It's our responsibility to speak up. I think, if we pay these people, this is where we live. We elected these people. These people are supposed to protect us and, obey the law. It just,
Yeah.
I had an incident with a local officer yesterday. I was having, I had car trouble, and I ended up having to like leave my car there. I mean, I live in Plimpton. What's the population here? Like
2.
me and Dana. So you know, I always expected it to be like, I do love this town, and it is like homey, and you know, the police and the firemen and the EMT, everyone's like, you know, really close. But this, you know, officer showed up at my house and was like just so rude to me. And, you know, like he just kind of like didn't ask me if I needed help, or like, what's the story? Just get your car out of there. Or, you know, like you're lucky that another cop didn't come along, or you would have towed it. I'm like, dude, I'm clearly in crisis right now. I just walked home from leaving, you know, and it's Plimpton. So I figured, you know, I mean, we have horses and cows walking down the street, you know.
It's kind of like where I live. We live in Rutland, like farm country.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So it was shocking. It was just shocking.
And then your registration.
Oh, and then he told me my registration was expired. I was like, no, he said it was expired in 2023. I'm like, I bought it in 2023, so that's impossible. Oh well, blah blah blah. I was like, dude, leave my house now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm still I'm all like worked up.
Would have been all worked up about that too.
Like, you came to the wrong house.
Yeah.
The wrong time.
You came at the wrong moment.
Yeah.
Pal.
So yeah, I might follow up with his captain later this week. And, you know,
Do
the
it.
chief, and have a little sit down.
Yeah.
You know, just a conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, why do you want your citizens and your community afraid of like, not that I was intimidated, but he was not warm.
Right.
He did not care.
Not warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, he didn't care about what my problem was, or.
And we're lucky. Our town police are very supportive of us and the chief. And I know he'd probably hire Dave if this was all over. He said, like, you know, that he can't believe we're going through this and knows that it's wrong.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's great to have that support.
Yeah. And I see a comment that Rodney had asked if there was a date for the back pay. We don't have a date yet for the back pay hearing. We already had one, and now we're just waiting for all of the appeal stuff to go through.
I think, Rodney, that was your sign, right? Didn't you make that sign with Dave's name on it? I know it was either you or Sue or one of the girls, but I think it was Rodney who made that sign. So
yeah, Rodney's everywhere.
He's awesome. He's such a great supporter. Yeah, so that's cool. All right, what else? Does anyone have any questions in the chat? Let me go back a little and see. Oh, that's nice. Jen, you seem like a strong woman, as Tracy mentioned. Remain how you've been. Oh, your poor 9-year-old. Maybe your young daughter. Oh, that's sweet. Thanks, Sherry B. I'm just looking for some questions. Oh, you guys are so sweet.
Yeah, they are. I was looking at them. They're very nice.
They're a good group. We only have a few, like, there's so many other channels on right now. Our replay group is huge.
Mm-hmm.
So the next couple of days, a lot of people will be watching, and
that's good.
Yeah, passing it along. So is there anything else, Jen, that you want to talk about or you want to add? Or
I don't think so. I think that really covered it. So May 19th is the federal, I just saw Sherry had, May 19th is the federal case.
So yeah, that's when
the
it's
date, court date. Yeah. So yeah, the back pay. So I guess we currently have like 2 things going on right now: the federal trial, and which is going to be a jury trial, and then the back pay appeal that we're waiting. The T has appealed it, so now our hands are tied, and we're just waiting for them to put in their things and their reasons why. And they're saying that they shouldn't. We already know without even seeing the appeal, because this was their argument in court, that they shouldn't pay him his back pay because what if he is convicted in the federal trial? That if he's convicted, they would have been right not to pay him.
Wow.
Wait.
So what are they waiting? They're just waiting it out?
Well, that's what we, I think, they were expecting, oh, well, the trial's coming up soon. So, but now the court date is out far enough where all of their stuff is going to be due before the federal trial.
So we're looking at like guilty until proven innocent. So
Yeah,
we're not going to give
Right.
you oh my God. What a freaking
Yeah.
shit show.
And then, like I said, in the last time I was on, I'm a teacher, so I've had to explain my story to 4 different principals.
Wow.
In the, my time being there. And I'm like, everyone is so supportive and knows, my family and knows it's ridiculous, but just like, when someone new comes in, you're like, oh, you might see my name in the news. And,
yeah, that's not, yeah. Well, Jen, if there's anything we can do for you, please let us know. We will continue to update everybody as what's going on. And we're definitely going to be out there with signs and, because we're going to be spending a lot of time at the courthouse in Boston. So, yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on.
At least May will be nice.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. I was being selfish. I was like, oh, nice weather.
Yeah. So on top of the, I see some comments still about like the back pay, the 44 months of back pay, and the interest alone on that is $120,000 that they. Oh, so the longer that it goes on, they're just gonna pay. Because I believe it's 12% interest because it's through the court.
Wow.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I think it's like, I'm not good with that. I teach 4th grade math. I can do that, but I think it's probably compounded interest or something. But yes, so 44 months of back pay plus that, but a lot of all of our money. That's what people. We've tried to get fuel assistance and all of the things that people can get, but it looks like that we make too much money. But, they don't take into account that all of our money is going to fighting for our life and paying lawyers.
Yeah, you don't qualify for assistance because
nothing.
That's insane.
No.
It's a lot of problems with this world out there. That's just another one.
Right.
Look at the situation. Everything should be situational. That type of a thing. Fuel assistance. They should be like, all right, what's your situation? What's going on? Okay, we'll help you out. Instead of like,
case by case basis.
Well, I make $600,000 a year. Can you give me some gas? Like what?
Yeah, they just look good on paper and don't care. And yeah.
It's like the credit card companies and everything too. I want to file for a loan to get something so I can pay off some debt or whatever. And it's like, well, you make a bunch of money, so I don't know why you need to get this, and your credit's probably shitty and whatever. It's like all these different scenarios is crazy.
Yeah.
Look at the situation. Everybody's situation is different.
Yeah.
Right. And then when we pulled his retirement, it even screwed us on our taxes because it looked like that it was income.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Because he wasn't of I think 59 maybe or 55,
like that.
whatever the age is. So they count it as interest. So not only are we paying for lawyers, but now we have to pay the IRS instead of getting a refund.
Oh,
so yeah, so like whatever, whenever you fill out the fuel assistance, it's like, what is your income for like a 4-person house, member house, and our income is above that. And we've tried to, tell her, and he's a disabled veteran, but they just want to see what's on paper. Oh, sorry, you make too much.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just
we're so thankful for everyone's support and donations. It's like, I never thought we'd be in this situation and to have like, oh my gosh, we got another Venmo. It's nice to see that there are people supporting us because, like I said before, like, who your friends are. My husband has thought he had a good group of friends at work, and there's, 5 that he probably talks to all the time.
Wow. Well, you're part of this army now, so we're all different, but we all support the same thing. So we're an army. We all have the same core beliefs, and we ain't got no quit.
So I just see Sherry's comment but it's not it's a total income. And I'm lucky I teach in Worcester. So our teacher contract is a decent contract. So unfortunately it puts us over the line of what people qualify for services or assistance.
Yeah. So Jen's Venmo is across the screen on the bottom. So if you guys feel compelled to donate, please do. Every little bit helps. They're obviously in a rough place, not being treated fairly, being accused of horrible crimes that have ridiculous prison sentences. And, imagine all that happening. It's like, I don't know, your world is crumbling, but there are people there to help you and, continue to be strong. And I don't know, I just think the people that are around us, I think will help you with that, hopefully. Because we're all in it together and we're stronger together. I mean, the more it sucks that more cases are being added to our agenda, but the fact that they are being added, it means there's going to be change. There has to be change. And there's going to be attention to. There already has been. So hopefully we'll get Dave's name out there and tell the story now that everybody knows it. So yeah, anything we can do, Jen, let us know.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
All right. Stay in touch.
I will.
If you have any questions, or I'm gonna reach out if I have any questions.
Okay, yeah, definitely. And as we find out more like dates and stuff, we can let you know.
Perfect. All right. Tell Dave we said hi. Tell the family we said hi. And take care.
Thank you.
Stay strong, Jen. Bye. So that was awesome. For Jen.
Yeah, that whole family, what's going on there is just insane. I'm still, the fact that he was willing to turn himself in to keep, to spare his family.
A lot of people do that. I've heard that happening. Like, no, we'll surrender. We'll come in. I think even Turtle Boy did that. But they wanted the whole
they wanted the
production. They wanted the pony show. Look who we caught.
Yep.
And this poor guy was the only one that, tried to do the right thing. So I don't know what the trial's going to end up being like. If they don't have any new evidence, they just have the same evidence that cleared him. So I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully you guys will help us support him, because he is really, really a good guy. Like I said, I've known these people since I was a kid, and they're just a really good, solid family. So I would never have brought this to anyone's attention if I didn't think that. So
exactly, Sherry.
They did.
It's no lie right there.
They're so little.
That's what gets me. These people that traumatize kids like that could have all been avoided.
Totally.
Let Jen back in the house.
Exactly.
At the very least.
Yeah, she couldn't even be with her children.
Yep.
Can you imagine that?
Ugh.
I would.
As a parent, like, how helpless do you feel in that regard?
Mm-hmm.
And as a kid, being a young kid, like, holy shit.
Also, the cost of that freaking, surveillance there, and then all these cop cars come flying in with, like, that's expensive. No, we'll just come in. No, it's not our money.
Yeah.
Know.
Seriously.
It's just horrible.
Just goes to show how people, people treat others. It's just insane. You the other day, yesterday.
Yeah, when I have more time, I'll tell you that whole story. And if I do follow up with that, guys, Captain, I'll definitely
bring your thing. You should go live.
I should. What? Can you go? Well, yeah, they let me record in Canton Police Department.
Hey,
because they have nothing to hide.
We're live. I have some questions about your sensitivity training.
Yes, people in the chat have some questions.
Yeah.
Mizzy, that's a good idea. They should come to the next Stronger Together event for sure.
Yeah,
that's a good idea. Yeah. Let us know. We're in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, like I was saying about people treating other people horribly. Like, I see Brandy in the chat.
Mm.
I bring it up. What happened with her kids?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sitting in a car and they get, the windows banged on by some crazy person saying, move your car. It's like, dude, I'm freaking a kid. I'm not supposed to drive.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's just do what we can to help. That's why we're here. yeah, Mizzy, definitely let us know if the next one, Stronger Together, get together happens. Because if you guys need any help, let us know. We'll definitely help you guys out. Because I know you guys put a lot into your standouts, and they're just such a beautiful representation of the people that you've lost. So it's count me in.
Gonna work on she gets back for vacation.
Okay.
Oh, good. That's awesome.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, look at Brandy's. Kids had school threats today, high school and the elementary school.
Oh,
it's like, they're not already traumatized enough from some crazy person. Now they got to deal with shit in school. It's just, this world's freaking going to shit. It really is a shitty place to be. We got to make change.
Well, when your law enforcement and your politicians and your judges, and it's just, I don't know. We can't be quiet. We have to keep being loud.
And we've done it all along. We've been loud and we've been peaceful, and that's what we, and that's the way
that's why we're different.
Yep. And that's what's getting the message out there. When people, if we're out there raising hell, we're going to be looked at like a bunch of crazy people. They won't take us seriously.
Yeah.
We
have to act
keep it peaceful. Yeah.
And that's kind of people we are. We're not crazy people. We're just people who live in this state and we see something wrong and we want to fix it. It's hard to stay quiet, and just, good people are being accused of horrible things and it's for the benefit of others. It just doesn't make any sense, but I digress.
Yeah, indeed.
All right, you guys, it's 8:30.
I got dinner.
Yeah, we're hungry. Thanks for sticking around. Please share this story if you guys want any of the stuff I went over. Let me know. It's all public record.
I think it's a way to save files. Maybe we can get them.
Yeah, maybe we can put them on the Facebook thing. Yeah, I know my technical skills.
I know. Look at you go.
Yeah, yeah. I'll put it on the Facebook thing.
Put me out of a job.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys. We really appreciate you being here. Like I always say, you didn't have to, but you are here with us. So thanks.
Yeah, next week.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what who do we have next week. We get a couple of different people in mind for next week. So
yeah, but we were discussing having Dina on next week.
Oh, not Dina.
Dina. Because she's part of our team, and we need staff meetings.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd have them in front of you guys.
Yeah, that'll work.
And Dina's awesome, and everybody misses her because she's been so sick. So maybe Dina. We haven't confirmed, but I'm pretty sure she'll be available.
Probably sleeping now. She gets up early.
I know.
Go to work now.
Yeah, she's got a day job.
Yeah.
Anywho, all right. Well, good night, everyone. Thanks. We love you.
Yes, you guys are the best. Thanks so much.
You really are the best. Thank you for all your support and hearing Dave's story. So talk to you soon. See you soon.